This is the fourth generation Nissan X-Trail, a mid-size SUV that's been around as a nameplate since 2001 here in Australia. With only 4 generations to its name though, it's not that old in the grand scheme of things. But this fourth generation car has been a fairly long time coming. The third gen car was on sale for perhaps a little bit too long, especially since we saw this vehicle in almost exactly this guise on sale in the US as the Nissan Rogue. But now, built in Japan, this right-hand drive model has come here to Australia. And in today's video, we're going to be checking this out with a brief preview before we get to drive this car later in the year. This mid-size SUV is tasked with putting the Nissan X-Trail right back up where it really does belong, in that sort of third or fourth spot in the mid-size SUV sales charts after the launch of vehicles such as the Kia Sportage, the updated Volkswagen Tiguan, and the refreshed Toyota RAV4. So does it have what it needs to do that? Well, that's what we're going to be finding out. Firstly, we're going to talk a little bit about what powers this car. It's a 2.5 litre direct injected, naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, very similar, in fact exactly the same as that one found in the Mitsubishi Outlander, because these are effectively a little bit like twins under the skin. They both sit on Alliance developed platforms, the CMF CD in this case, and they use the same engine, 135 kilowatts of power, up 9 kilowatts on the outgoing X-Trail, and 245 Newton meters, which is up 19 Newton meters. Not insignificant gains, and they do bump the X-Trail's towing capacity up to 2,000 kilograms, and it still uses the single-speed torque converter automatic. But as I said at the top, we don't get to drive this car today, so we don't get to evaluate the engine. So let's jump right ahead into the cabin and see what the new X-Trail is like. So the outside of the new X-Trail may look really swish and have cool design details like that V-Motion grille and splash-free wipers that we've seen on Mazda products for a little while now. But inside this Nissan X-Trail is where the glow-up has really happened. There's a lot of leather and a really nice technology package, including a really broad 12.3-inch touchscreen, which is pretty much the biggest in this class, or equal biggest I should say. 12.3-inch digital driver's display, which is nice and crisp, very legible and easy to read. And then you've got physical HVAC controls down here, so you don't have to go mucky about in the menu. You've also got a physical volume control knob and lots of handy switches on the steering wheel to adjust and play with the digital driver's display and the music and all of that stuff going on. So that's all great. The basics are solved. And then it's sprinkled with a nice touch of leather up here with real stitching. Feels quite classy, certainly classier than the old generation with that ugly center stack with that tiny little screen. Now this brown leather featured in this flagship TIL variant may not be to everyone's tastes, but at least it's different. And the quilted leather seats are really comfortable. This is something that Nissan has done well in their flagship variants for quite a while now. I've got decent electric adjustment, 8-way power adjustability, including 2-way lumbar as well as the driver. The passenger only gets 4-way electric adjustment, but it does get up and down, so you're not stuck with your head up in the roof. Speaking of that roof, it is a full-length glass sunroof that is openable as well, and you've got this nice light-colored headlining to give a little bit more light inside the cabin of this X-Trail. The other fun feature includes heating for the seats, but there's no cooling as you'd see on a Korean car of this stature. You do have a heated steering wheel though, and it is lovely appointed in this nice leather with paddles behind it as well to control the CVT transmission. And then onto the practicalities, which is a real strong point for this new Nissan X-Trail. You've got really generous door bins, these little cubbies in the door handles that you could probably put a phone or keys or something like that. 2 cup holders in the center console, this nice textured piano black, which I don't think is going to pick up scratches in the same way that an untextured piano black surface would. Wireless phone charging pad, which is said to charge phones really quickly, 15 watts, USB-A, USB-C charger, 12 volt socket, this nice little gear stick, I'll just interrupt that with that. And then we've got this butterfly opening center console, which is nice and deep, plenty of storage for odds and ends. And finally, underneath this floating center console, we've got even more rubberized storage down here. And thankfully, Nissan has thought about that and rubberized it so stuff doesn't slide around and get noisy in there. So is this the best midsize SUV in class for interior presentation? Well, we're going to have to wait for another one of our midsize SUV mega tests to find out exactly that. So hopefully in the future we'll have one of those coming along. But I do think Nissan has made real inroads in this new X-Trail in at least matching the best or nearly the best in class when it comes to interior presentation, fit and finish. The second row of the Nissan X-Trail has always been pretty generous, but in this new generation there is no ability to option a third row on the base model grades, which may mean that if you're looking at the lower end of the X-Trail, you might have to look at another vehicle such as the Mitsubishi Outlander that does offer those 3 rows of seating. But I think with Nissan's fairly premium push in the new X-Trail, what they're really focusing on is maximizing second row comfort in this vehicle, and I think they've done a good job of that. I've got really decent knee room behind my own driving position and heaps of toe room as well, not to mention a decent amount of headroom. The back seat is also on sliders, so you can slide it forwards a little bit and get yourself some more cargo space back there, and the backrest is adjustable to 2 angles, though it is a little bit awkward to do because you have to reach over and grab the little thingo. The leather continues back here, nice and quilted, and it feels very high quality. And then we do have an armrest, but it's more of a ski port come armrest, which is a bit weird to be honest in this car, but you know, I think that's a carryover from this CMF-CD platform being a little bit older. But anyway, back to the good stuff. We've got adjustable air vents and your own climate zone back here, USB-A port and a USB-C, and heating for the 2 outboard seats. So everyone's going to stay pretty comfy back here. The only other glaring issue is the fact that this brown material goes to very hard, scratchy plastic back here, though there are nice leather bits where you rest your arm, and you get integrated sunblinds, which is a really nice touch on this flagship TIL variant. The back of the X-Trail, you can see quite a clear family lineage, especially in the middle here, though like the other Nissan SUVs we've had a look at in the last couple of weeks, you'll notice these broad shoulders of this new design that really communicate a sort of strength and sort of sizeability to this vehicle, which is, you know, quite attractive. And I think in general, the updated X-Trail looks really good. Opening the boot, and we have a cream-coloured cover here, which is interesting, tying into the lighter top end of this vehicle's interior. Really nicely finished boot. Again, we've got Nissan's clever little storage divider system and a little bit more small storage under the under that boot floor. As I mentioned before, no third row seating in the 4th Gen X-Trail, but you do get a nice amount of tie down points, and you also get a 12-volt socket back there. But it is not the smartest boot in class, not quite as good as something like a Skoda Kodiaq, but it is still pretty decent. And you can lock it from back here on the power tailgate that's featured on this flagship TIL variant. In 4th Gen form, the Nissan X-Trail has had a serious glow up inside and out. I reckon the exterior looks fantastic, especially finished in this primer grey, but you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And the interior builds on the already decent fit and finish of the old X-Trail and leather appointments with a great new technology package, which I think really brings this car into the 2020s. But of course, we're going to have to wait a little while to nearer the end of 2022 to drive this car out on the road and to learn its price, because we don't know that yet either. Though I would wager it would start around $35,000 for a base model 2-wheel drive and run all the way up to probably 55 grand for something like this TIL I have behind me, but we'll find that out in the future. And of course, I want to know your opinion about the new X-Trail, so please leave that in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, why not hit subscribe to Chasing Cars if you haven't done so already? And as always, thank you very much for watching.